My family's journey through 5 generations of Black deaf culture. First, I want to thank you all for inviting me here today to present about my valuable family. Really, you know, Black history is not just limited to 1 month, it's every single day. When Pam contacted me, I was really surprised. She wanted me to come and present for Black History Month. So, this picture is me on the left, and this is my grandfather on the right. I want to tell you a little bit of the history of my family. My grandfather became 100 years old back in December. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the first Black deaf person to become 100, but I'm not sure about that. This is another picture of my grandfather when he was younger. And he was the 4th of 8 siblings. Let me explain how he became deaf. He was poisoned by eating watermelon when he was young. He used to steal watermelons when he was younger. He and his cousin and their friend would steal watermelons. And the man who, you know, cultivated those with the ground said, uh-oh, you're gonna steal those and get sick. He saw them, and he saw the friend and the cousin stealing them. So he put poison in those watermelons. And then that's how my grandfather became sick and became deaf. His parents looked for a school for him to go to, and it was called BDO. It's Blind Deaf Orphanage, and that was established in 1887. That was before TSD merged with it. This was a separate school, so that was in east, the campus, and then the west campus. So at that time, they were segregated. That school was mainly an African American school for the deaf blind, and they had their own way of signing also at that time. Let me explain about that. So their signs were different. We call it BASL. Now, BASL is not only in the South, it's not limited just to the South. There are other states that had other deaf schools and institutions that used BASL, but it was not the same, it is different. And I still use BASL whenever I'm signing, speaking with my dad, with my grandparents, talking with my mom, my aunt, my parents' friends who grew up with my dad when they were kids, you know, so there's still BASL being used today. Now I'm going to show you some examples of the BASL. So the word bathroom, the sign for bathroom, is this in BASL. I'd be like, ooh, this is, yeah, and everybody else bathroom, you know, with the ASL bathroom. But then, you know, okay, come this way and show me where the bathroom was. Children. So the sign for children, you know, ASL sign for children. That's not BASL. This is the sign for children in BASL. They say, how many you have? Oh, 6. Candy. So a lot of you signed candy this way. This was candy. This. All right, you know, we sign all right like this in ASL. All right, this way. Car. You know how you sign car? Here's the sign for car in BASL. It's the motor, you know, it's the engine running. Towel. You know, towel. What's your sign for towel? No, this. Sign for towel. Now, I got in trouble signing this for towel in school when I was little. My friend said, "You can ask me." I was like, no, you know, gonna go swim. So I said, "Do you have a towel?" And BASL, the teacher said, "You called me four. She called me four." I was like, "I didn't call you four." I was so confused, and I had to go stand in the corner. I got home and I said, "I got in trouble for signing towel." And my parents said, "Huh." And then later, we found out, oh, our signs are BASL, and the school was using English ASL. So I had to change, sign one way at school, but then when I go home, go back to signing BASL. Syrup. This is the sign for syrup in BASL. You know, that sticks to your mouth, can't really eat, yeah. Gets all over you. Cereal. Cereal, you sign cereal like this, or cereal this way, yeah. Or this. This was cereal. Yeah, like you're shaking the cereal. Next slide. My grandparents, and they couldn't be here. These are my parents, my mother and father. Very handsome. You see where I get my looks from? Slide. Now, you all might have seen this person on the right. This is my daughter, Nakia Smith. Yes, she is on TikTok under the name of, it's Charmaine. You know, she does the lotion and with the exit. Have you seen it? Have you seen her TikToks? You know, that's my daughter, and then that's me on the left. Now, with BASL, you know, we have different signs, and she'd say, "What is that? What's that for? What is that?" And I used to call it BDO signs, you know, because it really started at BDO, but it's really BASL. So, and then it became very obvious that we need to treasure that and preserve it and spread that information, disseminate that information on TikTok. So, and you know, she would also show like my grandfather and my dad's sign also. Now, I come from a large deaf family. I am the third of 5 generations. So my grandfather, my dad, me, and then children and grandchildren. My parents also went to BDO. There were 7 of children, of the siblings. I'm number 5. So out of the 7, we have 5 deaf and 2 hearing. Each of those 5 that are deaf have deaf children themselves. The 2 hearing do not. I'm one of 4 the deaf children. So, here are my children from 1996. This is my son, who is deaf. My daughter, deaf. Other niece, deaf. Daughter, deaf. These 2 down here are hearing. Shocking, I know. And I call myself deaf. I identify as deaf. Even though I'm hard of hearing, I still have the deaf identity. I did not go to school. I was mainstreamed in Dallas. And I married a coda. This is my husband right here. That handsome man right there. And of course, he's always supported the deaf community. A great advocate. Now, with Black History, while we're on our Black History, we have 5 generations. So my grandfather, James Sr., my dad, James Jr., Jake the third, and then my nephew, Jake the fourth. And then you got Jake the fifth. I don't get tired of spelling all those names. Most of the men in my family are deaf. As far as high percentage, most of the men in the family are deaf. Oh, here's another one. You can see it's the same picture, just the opposite order now. So then you start with the oldest down to the youngest. This picture was taken last year. And in 1995, I was crowned in BDA. First from Texas. I was the first one to enter from Texas. In Tennessee. It was held in Tennessee. So at that time, I did a lot of traveling. I went to a lot of states, presented, and was being a role model for other people, for the deaf community. And now I share this title with my daughter, who's sitting right there. She is my oldest daughter. She became an Indian in 2015. So there's a 20-year difference from the time that I was crowned and she was crowned. So 20-year difference between us in our crowning. In Kentucky. That is something I will never forget, having the honor of sharing this title with her.
It's true that my grandfather was 100 years old. This is my family. Let's see. I've lost count of how many of those in there are deaf, including the children and the babies. The last one is also deaf. The one that's wearing the white on the very far end. The last baby that was born was deaf. Woo, all of these children and grandchildren. I mean, I can't remember how many it is. I've lost count. We planned my grandfather's birthday 6 months in advance. We didn't know what would happen. If you follow my family and I on social media, you will see things that how we really get our grandparents. And they'll dap them up and everything. It's really cute. So he wanted to drive a Chrysler 300. But we had to take the battery out of it because otherwise he would drive the car. He still wanted to drive it. We told him, no, you're 100 years old. But that didn't stop him. He took the battery and the keys from another car, from a tractor, and put it in there and drove that to the store. And people were looking at him and calling and saying, hey, your dad's driving. My grandfather's driving. My grandfather was in the wheelchair. Grandmother was in the wheelchair. So we took tractor keys away. My grandfather loved to cook and clean and tell many stories when we would go visit them. I last visited him, I was surprised when he was 100 years old. I mean, I couldn't believe it that he was 100. And he would encourage us to always keep God and keep the faith and continue. And that's how he was able to live to be 100 years old. Last week on Tuesday, my grandfather died. And now he's in heaven. I truly miss my grandfather. It is very bittersweet that he is not here with us. This is a party, this was his 99th birthday party. This is my brother. He's the oldest one, and my other brother, he's deaf. My deaf brother, my parents, my hearing sister, my brother that's deaf, myself, and my last brother, and my aunt, and my father, and grandparents. I would talk about him. I was really feeling upset because, I mean, this is really real. I told him I was coming here, but, I mean, he's not here to witness it, but he's in heaven and he can see what's going on. My grandfather is the reason why we are here. I'm so grateful for the time that I had with him here. And I'm his last granddaughter. My grandfather saw through so many
Obstacles.
many years, through segregation, integration, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, segregated water fountains, where they had to go to the colored water fountain, and now they can. He was able to experience that. Technology, texting, video phone, TTY, TVs, beepers, hair dryers, all the technological things. Air condition. Ooh, he experienced air conditioning because he didn't have AC when he was growing up. But he was able to, he went through all of that. The changes in different car models, rolling the windows to pushing buttons, the changes in clothes and fashion, where prices of food, the hamburgers were 15 cents, and now a hamburger, I mean, he complained, Ken, what is it, $8 for a hamburger now? And he saw a black president. And he saw a black vice president. He was able to see the generations of children and more deaf children in the family. And now I'm going to sing his favorite song. He got a chance to see me sign it, and no, that wasn't it. In California. He drove to see me there at the NVDA conference when I was crowned queen. He was the first one to stand. Most of the people were family. Most of them were pastors. He wasn't. He was deaf. When he stood up, it made me cry.